Hey, everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, September 5th, 2021. The Newman Media launch party invitation should have read, "Caution, first 2 rows may get wet." Oh, it's not really even a proper soap opera party unless someone gets a drink splashed in their face. So I say, way to liven it up, ladies. Wet and wild. Ooh, it's been a good long time since we have had a cat fight. It was totally inappropriate, totally uncalled for, and therefore totally enjoyable. Oh, red versus red. Who are you rooting for? I have a feeling there are a lot of opinions on this. Or maybe you were just rooting for the drama, and that's okay too. If so, it has been delivered. Phyllis and Nikki were both picking at Sally like she was a chicken bone. And I have to say, I much preferred Nikki's approach. Kill her with kindness. Use the biggest smile that you can muster to then slice her to pieces. Phyllis was much more direct. Phyllis was just telling Sally that she didn't belong there at the party. She's not welcome. She might as well just leave town altogether because she's just gonna end up alone and a failure anyway. So get out now. So naturally, Sally threw a drink right into Phyllis's mouthy face. And naturally, Phyllis was going to then retaliate. So Phyllis dumped the ice bucket right over Sally's head. It all makes sense to me. I just think that Sally was lucky that Phyllis decided to remove the bottle of champagne from the ice bucket before dumping it over Sally's head, because we all know that Phyllis could have just grabbed the champagne bottle and crashed it over Sally's head. Phyllis is certainly capable of a whole lot worse than raining down ice upon someone. Can you even believe that Chloe couldn't make it to the launch party? Chloe has been peering around every potted plant every time Adam and Sally are in a room together, and she could not tear herself away from Miles's fever to weigh in on that whole mess. That is unfortunate. You know Chloe is going to be livid when she finds out about the spectacle. Chloe had better not tell Chelsea all about it, because this week, Chloe introduces Sally to Chelsea via video call. And Chelsea does not like this Sally Spectra one little bit. Chelsea has heard all about Sally Spectra and this young troublemaker, and she does not want Sally anywhere near Adam Newman Media. Well, despite Chelsea's warning, Adam finds himself intrigued by Sally, and Adam asks Sally to attend the Newman Media launch party as his date. And after thinking it over, and after a very tense run-in with Jack, Sally decides to accept Adam's invitation. Pausing here, what did you guys think about Sally's run-in with Jack at the coffee house? He was unusually cold toward her. I mean, even right after Summer and Kyle left town, Jack wasn't that cold toward her. He was looking at her like the wait staff needed to come and sweep her up off of the floor, like she was a piece of trash that needed to be swept up. And she almost took it. But then, thinking twice about it, she turned around to Jack and she said to him, "Wait a minute, you, Jack Abbott, just went out of your way to make me feel small. And that is not like you. That is beneath you." Yeah. You tell him, Sally. You don't let anybody make you feel small. But on the other hand, just playing devil's advocate, normally when a lot of people pile onto one character, it makes me root for that character because they're an underdog. But I don't really see Sally as an underdog anymore. I see Sally now as having this pattern of behavior where she creates her own problems and then she says that everybody is kind of unfairly picking at her, which at first I think that was true, but now I'm really starting to think that Sally gives as good as she gets. She is no underdog. And yet she's always constantly making apologies and excuses, and the fact that she never really follows through with this whole change of heart that she says she's going to have or she's had, that just makes her come off as insincere to me, and not gonna lie, that makes me not trust her. But boy, didn't those necks snap when Adam and Sally walked into the party together. Talk about wet and wild. Sally looked like she just stepped out of an 80s music video. My goodness, she said, "I'm gonna wear a one-shoulder, short, pink and black snakeskin sequin print dress to this party to accompany the CEO." Girl, that's a choice. That is a real choice. Pink and black sequin snakeskin print standing next to the CEO of a new company. Okay then. Looking like she'd been in the bathroom crimping her hair with the crimper. I gotta hand it to her. She has got her own style and she wears it and she owns it. I'm okay with it. I am okay with it. It's a choice. Here's the little picky thing that bothers me about Adam and Sally showing up at this party together. And I'm surprised that this bothers me because in soaps, bosses have dated employees a million times over. But it's usually like, oh, we work together. We start to develop some feelings. Now let's do it on the desk. But here with Adam and Sally, Adam was literally like, "I guess I need a date to this party. I'll ask the new girl. Sally's only been there for 2 weeks. He's the CEO. That is so wrong." The office is not your dating pool, Adam. Oh, maybe after a couple of more hot kisses, I'll come around. Adam whisks Sally upstairs, all covered in ice. But that ice quickly melted under the intense heat of the Adam Newman sex ray. Sally just could not help herself. She was so charged up on hate energy that she leapt onto him and he totally reciprocated. But he also quickly pulled away, saying, "I can't. I want to, but I can't. I'm toxic. I'm toxic, baby. I'm bad to the bone, baby." And then he tossed on his black leather jacket, hopped on his motorcycle, and just blazed right out of town. Wounded bad boy. It works every time. It is only going to make her want him more. Man, I think I finally just started really getting into Adam, and I've been waiting for like a year now for someone to give him a passionate kiss. And when it finally happened this week, though, all I could think was, hey, who is she to sweep into town and take Genoa City's most eligible bachelor? Whoa, wait a minute. Am I just jealous that Sally got to be the one to kiss Adam? All night for the entire party, it was well known among the crowd that Billy was planning to do something to disrupt the party. And in the end, it turned out that he did nothing. That is what we call sleight of hand, my friends. The audience was waiting for Billy to pull the fire alarm or something, and in the end, it was Phyllis and Sally who made it rain. But Billy did try. Can you even believe that he talked Crystal, the so-called green dress girl, into letting him into the Newman Media green room? Oh, what if Mrs. Summers finds out? Crystal could be out of a job. And then what would the internet talk about? Oh, I just don't know. I thought that was a fun scene. I thought that was a fun way to work her in. Billy thought that he was being super smooth, slipping through the door, grabbing a laptop, trying to spy on Newman Media for some juicy juice. But then Nick swooped down in his superhero tights to stop the dastardly deed. I thought Nick was a really fun foil for Billy for the entire night. He even secretly dropped a handful of cherries into Billy's drink. I bet that the actors planned that little bit beforehand, and I thought it was a really nice touch. It was just a little visual joke that I enjoyed a lot. I thought it played really well. I think Nick is going to need some laughs because it looks like Jack is going to be confessing his old feelings for Phyllis next week. In the previews, Phyllis is saying to him, I don't know what you saw in Sally. And Jack is saying, well, to be honest, I guess I was hoping that she would turn into you. Oh, we're getting real raw, real honest next week. And I do love Jack's love for Phyllis. That's always been really appealing to me. Jack gets into his romantic sweet spot whenever he thinks of Phyllis, but I just have no idea how she is going to respond to him. I think that Phyllis loves Jack too, but it's not in the same way exactly. Phyllis has gone out of her way this week to show Nick how into him she is. And on top of that, Phyllis is certainly not going to let Sally Spectra be right about the time that she's been spending with Jack. She's not going to now turn around and blow up her relationship with Nick. Is Phyllis going to tell Nick what Jack said? Because now Nick is already suspicious. He was watching Jack and Phyllis at the party, and also early in the week, he was starting to play the what if game, asking Phyllis, well, what if I wasn't around? Would you be with Jack? And Phyllis knows where this seed of suspicion came from. Phyllis got Nick to confirm that Sally told him She saw them in the park, and that sent Phyllis into her first conflict with Sally for the week. Phyllis burst through the doors at society and proclaimed to Sally, "Stay away from my man!" Have you ever noticed that everyone in Phyllis's life belongs to her? My man, my daughter. She is very possessive. I would not want to be on her bad side. But Sally is, and Sally now just knows Phyllis's weak spot. It's Nick. And you can bet that Sally is going to keep finding subtle or not so subtle ways to poke at Phyllis's weak spot. Ashland, by all appearances, is keeping up with his chemo treatments. He stops by Crimson Lights this week for a caffeine boost. He starts to feel a little weak, looks like he's going to collapse, and Dr. Nate rides into the rescue. Nate takes Ashland home, gives him some vitamins, gives him a glass of water with a coaster. Can I just say how much I appreciated the tiny little moment where Nate brings Ashland a glass of water, but before setting it down on the table, he picks up a coaster from the pile of coasters, sets it down, then sets the water on top of it instead of just clunking the water down onto the bare wood like an animal. He used a coaster, you guys. He really is the perfect man. In my book, anyway. As if I thought he couldn't get any better. He used a coaster. He used a coaster. Meanwhile, Victor and Billy are both separately together having their investigators investigate Ashland while they stand around spending so much screen time just talking about whether or not Ashland is a baddie. And in next week's preview, Victoria is commenting about how everyone is having their investigators investigate Ashland. Could these investigators put a red flag on this project? What are they doing that is taking so long? Are they still on summer vacation or what? Nate had a couple of good scenes this week. First with Ashland, but then with Phyllis. Phyllis was trying to sell Nate on a romantic escape for he and Elena, and it was so awkward. He is such a stiff, such a sexy stiff. How are those two things even possibly going together? I don't know. But Phyllis was trying to get him to open up about what she could do to help he and Elena get a little spicy. And all I could think the whole time was, dang, Phyllis, I'm feeling some chemistry here. Why don't you take Nate upstairs and show him how to loosen up? That could be good for me. Forget the rose petals and the in-room DJ. You two could make some beautiful music all on your own. But see, Nate is my man, and I'm not jealous of Elena for having him because she earned back my trust. I mean, she's had like a good couple of months of not cheating on him, so she's earned it. I honestly, as much as I love Nate, I am really loving Elena too, and I love them together. Elena's hair, first of all, is officially amazing. I'm flashing back to when we were all a little stunned that she cut it, but it turns out that it was such a good decision for her. She has really gotten the styling down. Her curls are so cute and so tightly packed, and she had on that white quilted blazer this week. She just looked so absolutely gorgeous. I got a really good screen cap of her in it. When Lily offered her the Ask MD Now job, and Elena thought about it for a minute, but she ultimately accepted it. But then she went home and she styled those curls down to kind of a short and choppy brushed look. She put a little silver and pearl comb in her hair, matched it with some pearl earrings, slipped on that beautiful sparkly black cat dress, rocked a red, sort of orange-red lipstick, and she went to the Newman Media launch party looking like a goddess, and I was like, yes! I have my answer. Elena gets not only my Best Dressed Award for the party, but she gets my Best Dressed Award for the week. So let's have some fun. You give me your Best and Worst Dressed Awards, chatters. Ooh, so many cute outfits. It was a small party, but whatever, I'll take it. We get so few parties these days. Okay, I gotta say, my runner-up for Best Dressed has got to be Lily. I mean, maybe it's just the girly girl in me, but all of those multicolored, chunky sequin sparkles made me gasp. She looked like a Sweet 16 party confetti bomb explosion. Lily is always lovely. And that night was no exception. Now, this was not a dress, but I don't want to forget to mention that I loved those smoky champagne flutes that everyone was carrying. They were very low profile. You could barely just fit a sip of it, champagne into it. Victor commented on the expensive liquor, so I'm guessing maybe this is a very expensive liquor, so we chose a smaller glass so people aren't just guzzling it. But I just loved how low profile the little glasses were. It was all very elegant. Even though Billy was, according to Victor, 3 sheets to the wind on the good stuff. Well, I know who Victor's Best Dress Award will go to. His whole face, probably some other things too, just completely lit up when Nikki walked into the ranch living room, all dolled up for the party. She was also wearing some kind of snake print. It was a smaller snake print. Maybe it was lavender, maybe it was periwinkle. It looked different in different lightings, but it kind of matched Nick's tie. I thought she looked lovely. I guess if I have to pick a worst dress, and it wasn't even that bad. Phyllis's dress was not my favorite. It wasn't all that flattering of a cut, but I did think that the chartreuse color was a real standout, especially since she was a real standout of the party, and I thought she had some fun multicolor sparkly earrings to go with that dress. Nothing else really super popped out to me. None of the guys ever really pop out to me. I guess if I had to hand an award out to a guy, I would have to give it to Adam. Black on black on black. Black on black on black. No tie. Wearing no tie right there. That's a way to stand out from the crowd in a crowd of ties. Well, standing out from the crowd was not that hard when his date. The Mariah story, the pregnancy story, the surrogacy story has finally bared fruit. Let us give thanks for this beautiful bounty, as if it were Thanksgiving and we are the pilgrims. Oh, I see 2 conflicts on the horizon for Mariah and Abby. Between Mariah and Abby. Conflict number 1, Stitch. Now, this is a little bit more minor in the scheme of things, but I think there could be a conflict here. Ray informs us that Stitch has gone AWOL. He checked Max out of the hospital in the middle of the night, and he disappeared. Is there any chance he's going to be jumping out from behind a curtain to kidnap Abby? Or is he gone for good? He's gone for good, right? Yes, probably never will be caught. All right. But Abby was married to him. I'm sure this is going to be a topic of conversation for her. She would want to make sure that she helps him get any help that he needs. On the other hand, Mariah and Tessa have both stated they want no mercy when it comes to Stitch for what he did to Mariah, but also what happened to the baby. They both could have died. I can really see some conflicts happening there if the show chooses to bring back Stitch for at least a couple more episodes. Maybe they have a couple more episodes in the can. Maybe. But conflict number 2, the bigger conflict, is going to be over the baby. I mean, we had so many great moments of muddy water this week. The first one, we're in the hospital. Mariah is sleeping. The baby is hungry. Nobody wants to wake Mariah up, so Abby decides to supplement with some formula, and the nurse hands her her baby for her very first feeding, a very special moment. It only happens once. But Mariah wakes up during it, and she overhears what's going on. She hears Abby calling herself Mommy, saying, Mommy's here, Mommy's got you. And something about that really stood out. Surely Mariah was thinking about what she was missing and thinking about how much she would like to be doing the first feeding. Mariah developed a bond with that baby in the dungeon room. I mean, for weeks and weeks, they are all each other had. And in those weeks, Mariah started to feel what being a mother feels like. Protective, loving, nurturing. And Mariah did break down and tell Tessa, he was my reason for living, and now I don't know how to let it go. I don't know how to let him go. Bowie is no longer Bowie, but he'll always be Bowie to me. Abby questioned Mariah this week about why she was calling him that, and Mariah told the story, saying, just taking him from baby and kid seemed the right choice. She wanted to give him a nickname, and I mean, in retrospect, that right there was a signal of their growing bond, and it most definitely made Abby uncomfortable. She seemed to understand, but Abby was also definitely uncomfortable. She was not gonna let any nickname or anybody stand in the way of now her developing her bond with her baby. She decided to give her baby its official name this week. Oh my gosh. Dominic Philip Newman Abbott Chancellor. Hey, Macarena. Dominic Philip Newman Abbott Chancellor. Hey, Macarena. What? What? Mariah and Tessa both commented, oh, that name is so Abby. It is so Abby. I feel bad for when the kid is needing to learn to write and he goes to write his name, like writing a 5-word name. He's going to get a hand cramp. Oh my goodness. Dominic Philip Newman Abbott Chancellor. I don't know. Where's the M for Mariah in all of that? I don't get it. Abby said that there was a D in there for Devon. Okay, Dominic. But where's the M for Mariah? Is it the M in Dominic? That all feels a little loose to me. Don't try to bring us up with this whole, I tied it into you guys to pay tribute to your contribution. Don't even try, Abby. You picked the name that you wanted to pick, and that's fine. I just hope we get to call him Dom. Dominic is adorable. I actually do love the name Dominic. Dom. Let's go with that, though. I can feel it. Just don't ever ask me to repeat his full name again, because I'm not going to do it. Oh. But, oh boy, we had that second muddy moment on Friday. Muddy moment on Friday, where Mariah gets her chance to feed the baby. And Mariah is alone with the baby for the very first time. And she's talking to him for the very first time on the outside world. And she's commenting about how different that feels, but also how natural that feels, and how much she would really like to breastfeed him if it weren't against her contract to do so. Mariah is fighting the feelings of motherhood. When the mother walks in, ooh, Abby sees Mariah and the baby bonding, and Abby immediately starts to try to do anything she can to shuffle that baby out of Mariah's arms. It's really understandable on all parts, and that's where the story is actually getting good, when we're actually able to kind of dig into the psyche of everybody and the perspective of everybody. I mean, everybody has a perspective. Mariah has a bond with the baby that she's been carrying for all of these months, the better part of a year. But at the same time, this is Abby's baby. That was always the plan. This is Abby and Chance's baby. And next week, Abby is bringing her baby home, to her home, where Mariah and Tessa may no longer be welcome. I mean, now that the job is done, are we going to have to start talking about how we're going to get Mariah out of the house and away from the baby even more? Is Abby going to start kind of pushing that? I mean, the plan must go on, right? Abby's going to bring her baby home to the Chancellor Mansion, introduce him to his new life and to his new group of family and friends who are waiting for him, including Ashley and Nina and Victor and everybody but Chance. Absolutely everybody but Chance is there. Now, I thought here would be a good place to stop and ask you guys this week's poll question. It's time to deal with the Chance situation. We know that. Y&R has got to know that. But my question for you is, what's the best way to do that? I mean, we can argue till the cows come home that they should have done it in February, but here we are now in September. The baby is here. Everything has happened. We are here. What do we do with Chance now? Do we bring him back? Or do we get rid of him altogether? Which route would you rather see? Do you want to see Chance come back and get tangled up in all of this messiness? Or do you just want to cut and run? YRChat.com, that's where you can cast your vote, leave some comments about what you'd like to see done with the character of Chance. Honestly, at this point, I'm kind of ready to get rid of him. I don't even need him in the picture, especially not when we've got Daddy Devon. Seeing this baby, holding this baby, has affected Devon profoundly too, and it was in a way that he was totally not expecting. You can make plans, you can make contracts, and you can say, sure, I'll donate some sperm, I'll help you out. But when that sperm becomes a human being in your arms, it's a completely different world. Amanda had a couple of really great conversations with Devon this week about the baby and about fatherhood. He was glowing. I mean, she was even trying to tiptoe at first around the idea of him being a proud dad, and he was really quick to shoot her down, because I think that's what's going on in his mind. He's trying to deny his fatherhood in the same way that Mariah is trying to suppress the feelings of motherhood that she is feeling. Abby's the mother, Chance is the baby's father, and everyone's just trying to remind themselves of that. But Devon is in a little bit of a different place from Mariah, because even if Dom, that's what I'm going to call him, even if Dom isn't his son, he also kind of is. I mean, sure, we can defy biology, but can we completely ignore it? The boy will have an undeniable part of Devon, and Devon will feel an undeniable pull toward him. I mean, that would be natural. Where Devon is coming from and the feelings that he's feeling are understandable and are natural. Later in the week, though, while the Newman Media party was going on downstairs, Amanda and Devon were up in her hotel room talking through his feelings, and I gotta tell you, I really found Devon's expression of his feelings to be even more compelling than the cat fight that was going on downstairs. I just found Devon to be so pure and so honest about his feelings. He was describing the emptiness that he feels, and he said, I'm not his dad. I'm just Devon. That's so hard to grasp onto. It's so hard to suppress what you're feeling. especially when what you're feeling makes sense. It really sets up an interesting dichotomy, too. Devon trying to somewhat deny his biology, and on the other end, Amanda in the same room trying to embrace hers. Amanda says she's getting closer with Naya and Amani every day. She's even going on a little vacation with them, probably celebrating the fact that the charges have now been brought back upon Sutton, and I don't know, maybe he'll get convicted. Maybe Amanda will see some justice for her father's death. I just hope that we don't have to see it anymore. Ting! Smile. Taking a cue from Nikki. Smile, and then slice you to pieces. Oh. So yeah, I mean, it's gotten good. It took us a long time to get here, and I wasn't sold on it even at the beginning, but it's gotten good. And I do wonder what all of this means now for Devon, because again, he's in a little bit more of a unique position. And what does it also mean for Devon and Amanda? Because I get why Devon's feeling what he's feeling, and yet I don't think that Devon would do something like sue for custody. I don't see him doing that. But I could see Devon and Abby falling in love after all of this, like after Chance is dead and once they've spent some more time together. Devon and Abby have been together before, and now this baby would create more of a reason for them to bond. Sorry, Amanda. The side effect of the main baby story is how it affects the partners. I mean, will Amanda start to grow jealous of any time that Devon and Abby are spending together with the baby? Will Mariah be able to go back to the life that she had before with Tessa, or will she find herself looking for something different? I didn't want to forget to mention Tessa's lovely lullaby that was playing on Friday. It had a little bit of a different sound than we've heard on the show in the past. There was maybe some electronic echoes in the background of the song, and it was all very beautiful and very soothing, as a lullaby should be. Tessa has become such a nice girl. She is reunited with Mariah. She is totally attentive to Mariah. She really couldn't be more likable. There are no signs currently of any fracture on Tessa's end of the relationship. Tessa is Team Mariah and anti-Stitch all the way. I just think it's interesting to note how far Tessa has really come. She's really had a total transformation from the bad girl she was a few years ago. And there was a funny little moment in the hospital. Maybe it was on Monday or Tuesday. Tessa was in the room with Mariah. Sharon was there too. And Tessa wanted to get a break to go home and get some clothes for Mariah. And she asked Sharon to just keep an eye on Mariah while she goes home. So Tessa walks out into the waiting room and bumps into Devon and Abby and says to them, "Do you guys know where the chapel is?" And Devon replies, "Third floor. Why?" I thought, okay, hang on a minute, Devon. What do you mean, why? There is only one reason why Tessa would be going to the chapel. And it's not like, oh man, I just drank a 64-ounce soda. Does anybody know where the chapel is? She's stopping by the chapel to say a prayer, you dummy. A thank you for an answered prayer. I mean, what a sweetie. To make sure she's following up with some prayers even. Just my prayer was answered, so I'm going to stop by and say some thank you prayers too. Not just an asking prayer, a thank you prayer. That's who Tessa is now. A total sweetie. I mean, I do hope to see Mariah and Tessa dealing with future conflicts together, united, but is that in the cards? I want mutual wallowing. Who said it? The answer, Phyllis. Lots of people guessed that. Everybody must have been really tuned into that scene with Jack. She was just wanting to wallow in missing their family. I want mutual wallowing. Oh my goodness. Doreen, Heather, Jamie, Daisy, Henry, Sandra, Naomi, Nancy, Ellen, Tina Lynn, Lisa B., Mel B, Sheila, Kamna, and TB84. You guys all guessed it right. Hope I didn't miss anybody in that lineup. That was a lot of folks. You guys were really on point last week. I feel like this one's gonna be maybe a little trickier, but you let me know if you know who said it. I excel at having fun. I excel at having fun. Who said it? If you think you know, go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Let's get down to some of your fantastic comments. Oh, Gary says, I cannot believe this baby Bowie is no more than a wrapped loaf of French bread without a face in this low-budget COVID show. This is what Abby waited for. Yes, Dom or Dominic is indeed a bread loaf. You didn't know that? Babies are bread loaves, apparently. A bread loaf baby. That's funny. I had a couple people comment on that this week that it's like, oh, we must not be able to have babies on the show right now or something. So we're all just going to pretend that this is a baby when we know darn well it's a French bread loaf. Oh, hey, Gary also says, speak of the devils, Nina and Ashley return. It was so wrong character-wise for Nina to have been written out for those few weeks at the height of the kidnap panic. You know, that is so true. Happy to see Ashley, happy to see Nina again, but it is a good question. Why did Nina get written out right as everything started gearing up with the drama? She had been there so consistently, and then all of a sudden she was just gone for when it really started getting good. Maybe it was just a choice of the actress. Maybe she had someplace she needed to be. I don't know. But yeah, we were, a lot of us anyway, just really kind of banking on what Nina's role in the fallout would have been, and turns out it was just nothing. Well, Ellen says, so these reasonably intelligent human beings knew that they needed legal agreements regarding the surrogacy, but no one realized they needed significant emotional preparation, if not psychological therapy, to prepare for the birth of the baby and how they would all feel going forward? Duh! It seems more thought went in to Mariah's protein bars than her profound feelings of connection and then understandable loss regarding Dominic. And Abby was bound to be sad all over again about not being able to give birth herself and nurse the baby. Then there's Devon subbing in for the totally absent, aka dead or MIA, Chance. And sorry, but Sharon is not the appropriate therapist to help address this crazy situation. Conflicts of interests. Let's hope Mariah doesn't go to a very dark place. Oh, Ellen, not a therapist, but have watched soaps your entire life, so you are qualified. Yeah, it's true. It's so true. It's almost like everybody was just expected to continue to look at it like a black and white contract. I don't think anybody really thought that they were going to feel the feelings that they're feeling now. But gosh, you make a really good point. I wonder if in real life surrogacy situations, is there a setup to help the all of the parties through the emotional component of what the aftermath will be? I mean, it's all fine and good for Abby gets to, at least walk away with the baby, but I mean, Devon described it as an emptiness, and I'm sure that really applies to Mariah too. And I agree with you that specifically when it comes to Mariah, Sharon's not the therapist who she should have. Yeah, she should be talking to her mom, no doubt about it, but there definitely needs to be some kind of third-party help, or at least someone, an allusion to these people getting some therapy and some help through it. But at least this is kind of the part where I think it's getting good. I like to dig into the psyche stuff too. You know me. We're all kind of like armchair psychologists here, and then that's the part of the story that I really enjoy a lot too. And so at least we're digging into some good emotions. And you know what? I really like it when Y&R presents us with a situation where it's really understandable from all sides. It's not as much fun when it's just cut and dry. This person is a black and white villain or good guy or whatever. I like it when you kind of understand where everybody's coming from, and it's just like on all sides. Sherrod says, you know the sayings, hope springs eternal and keep hope alive. Mariah may not go dark, but she's about to get very, very angry. Remember the character David Banner said to Mr. McGee on The Incredible Hulk, "You won't like me when I'm angry." And of course, all that anger will be directed at Tessa. But if we recall, Tessa tried to get Mariah to seek therapy through the pregnancy, along with the attorney, Brittany Hodges, but Mariah refused. This seems to be the never-ending baby saga storyline. Oh, I definitely think we're going to see some anger from Mariah. And it's got that part of it is going to be good. I can't wait to dig in to see what Mariah does on this. I hadn't thought about her lashing out at Tessa, though. It's like Tessa's such a nice, supportive partner. It's hard to think that Mariah would be lashing out at her. But there's also there's the part of the psychology where, where you're in your right mind and you can kind of go through things and deal with things. But then when you add in the pregnancy hormones that Mariah's feeling, I mean, that's like a whole nother, almost sometimes irrational thing. Like, hormones are powerful. I never realized that until I had a baby. Like, oh man, this just like knocked me back. So that there are also all of these hormones rushing through Mariah right now that are going to impact how she reacts to the situation. And yeah, I can see her being angry. I don't know if I think she's going to go super dark. But then again, I just don't know. I mean, everything before this part that we know about Mariah could just be thrown out the window. We could be dealing with, as you say, like a whole new Hulk. T. Nicole says, I realized that for Devon, even though he's struggling to know the role he will play in baby Dominic's life with Chance gone, it's easier for him to slide into the father figure role as there is no physical competition in the way. And if Chance never comes back, then Devon can't become the father as the child biologically is his. But as for Mariah, Abby's the mother and very much present, so there is an element of competition between them during the transition of Mariah letting go and Abby gaining a son. Abby is also the biological mother. Yeah, the transition, that is where it's going to be so interesting. And not only like the transition of, okay, who's going to do what for the baby in these next couple of weeks, but how's Mariah then going to transition out of the house? I mean, Abby brought Mariah in so that she could be present for all of this stuff. And I feel Mariah might end up feeling kind of used and abandoned, even though she signed herself up for it. I just wonder if emotionally she's going to feel used and abandoned when she has to leave the mansion. But I don't know, maybe leaving the mansion is what she will need to do. Victoria says, Sharon really frustrated me yesterday. She had on her angst face and regret face, but she did not mention how Tessa kept pushing because she knew Mariah was in trouble. She didn't apologize for blowing Tessa off. I'm sorry, I thought all you needed was time. She should have said to Mariah. Sharon could also be the one to remind Devon and Abby why they all became concerned. I have a feeling this slight is going to be the motivation for Mariah and Tessa to try to seek custody. do you guys think that Mariah and Tessa are going to try to seek custody? Wow. Gosh, it almost does seem like everything about the contracts was a little bit foreshadowing. Amanda told everybody, like, are you sure you don't want to read this contract a little further? Brittany was trying to get Mariah to maybe do some counseling, as Sherrod mentioned, like when she was going through her signing of the contract. So it does almost portend that this might end up in a legal battle, or at least maybe the threat of going into a legal battle. It will be. This is where it gets good. I am tuning in. This is what's definitely keeping me most engaged right now. I want to know where this is going. Well, shifting over into stories where I guess it was quite obvious where it was going. The kidnapping storyline. Stitch kidnaps Mariah, gives birth to the baby. Was that a good ending? Last week, that was our poll, and 61% of you voted no, not a good ending. 39% say yeah. Hey, Henry voted yes in the poll. However, I wish I could have voted yes and no. Yes, in terms of having the entire show focused on the rescue/reveal. There was no switching to meaningless scenes with like Amanda or Tracy, but it's a no in terms of not immediately apprehending Stitch after such a horrible thing that he did. You know, in a way, I guess I feel similar about the yes and no vote. Was it a good ending? Yes, it was a good ending, but no, it wasn't a good story. That's where I would put my vote on it, probably. In fact, I kind of think maybe I voted yes because it was a good ending, but not a good story. Gosh, I wish I could flag. I always forget how I voted. But Lisa115 voted no, saying this could have ended in so many different ways. The writers showed no imagination at all. But that said, the acting was phenomenal. And Jamie says the whole fiasco was a missed opportunity to showcase the full spectrum of how mentally ill Stitch had become. The events over the last 4 years that got him there, and his genuine torment and guilt for what he had done, knowing he was in too deep to correct the situation. It could have been so good. Yeah, it really could have been so good. Southside Granny says, I agree. There could have been a much better ending. And to have explored the mind of Stitch while all of this was going on would have put a great angle to the story, especially the ending. Big flop for Y&R. Yeah, I don't think Stitch is coming back either. I don't think we're really going to get that. I think we got what we got out of Stitch. I know that the actor is done filming scenes, whether or not they still have a couple that they can air for him. I'm not sure, but I'm kind of just expecting Ray to give us an update maybe about whatever happened to Stitch off screen. I'm not even expecting really that he's ever going to be apprehended. There's just a part of me that expects, okay, they just decided this was an ending, bada boom, bada bing, over. No further questions, Your Honor. But was this a good ending? Superplex says absolutely not. Not to toot my own horn, but I think my idea of Stitch switching the sperm sample, making him the donor, was a better conclusion and made more sense than what these writers chose to portray. That would have been so good. If the sperm sample would have been switched by Stitch, that would make Abby and Stitch the biological mother and father, which would have pulled Stitch back into Abby's orbit, which would have created some potential conflict with Chance. Oh my goodness, yeah, that would have been great, Superplex. This definitely, it was not well done. It's just, the problem is Y&R didn't know where they were going when they started, or if they did know, they changed their direction midstream. Diana reminds us, Mariah has acknowledged that her attacker was a nameless, faceless person when she was kidnapped, but we still have not heard the details of what happened. I know it. Good point. We probably never will get those details either. Sherrod says that new writer, Susan Banks, that gave the viewers those interesting and intricate story points, is no longer there. She did not renew her contract. I guess since Y&R won the Emmy for writing, Josh Griffith feels her input is just no longer warranted. As Julia Roberts said in Pretty Woman, big, huge mistake. Big mistake. Huge. That's the second Pretty Woman reference I've heard this week. That's funny. But, I kept thinking that. We were all like, whoa, this show got so good. Who's this new writer, Susan Banks? And I was thinking a couple weeks ago, why is the writing not as good now? I thought we had this great new writer. I didn't know, Sherrod, that she didn't get renewed on her contract. Man, no kidding, big mistake. She really brought some good stuff to the show. And it does seem like we're kind of right back to where we were before, where it's like, man, holes, plot holes. Pretty good at character development, but the plot is either too fast, too slow, or full of holes. I mean, the Sutton Ames case is a good example of that. Henry says, say it ain't so. The Sutton case is not dead. I think it is, though. I feel like this is just Y&R's way of mentioning it to say, we didn't forget about it, but I don't think they're going to focus on it moving forward. I hope not, at least. New topic. Astra says, okay. So I was Team Phyllis when it came to her versus Tara and Sally, but now the constant ragging on Sally is just getting old for me. I'm still not the biggest Sally fan, but I am ready to see something different with her than just being the town pariah whom everybody tells off every time they see her. No kidding, Astra. It is a little like, okay, does everybody have to just tell her off every time they see her? And does she have to just keep making excuses every time she's on screen? Somebody needs to reboot Sally. Please reboot Sally. And especially if we're headed into a relationship with Adam, let's reboot them both. Let's just either make them a good, bad team or something, But it's just like the waffling around emotionally is just getting kind of annoying. Hey, Superplex says Phyllis was behaving very unprofessionally. If she had not been needling Sally, this would not have happened. Her function was to organize the setting for the event and nothing more. No one invited her to give opinions on the invited guests. Oh, you think you're definitely Team Sally there, so you think it was Phyllis's fault. I kept thinking because Phyllis did own it. When she was talking to Nick later, she said, I shouldn't have said those things. Yeah, I said them, and I'm not sorry, but yeah, maybe I brought it on myself. She did acknowledge that she brought it on herself, but at the same time, I was thinking, don't apologize, Phyllis. Sally did not make you, you did not make Sally's hand pick up the drink and throw it in your face. Phyllis definitely took it to the level of, I don't know, childish. But Sally threw the drink. Sally picked it up and she initiated the physical conflict. Henry said it was so realistic when Victor reminded Phyllis of the money he had invested in that event. Yeah, I know Phyllis got scolded by Victor, but then Victor also secretly loved it. He told Nikki when they got home he thought that was great. Oh, Victor, you know you love the drama. Diana says, I found Adam to be extremely hot in that kissing scene with Sally. I forgot what we were missing with Adam, as it's been so long since we've seen him in action. The last we saw him kissing was with Sharon at Society. I thought the kiss between Sally and Adam had more chemistry than with Sharon, probably because it seemed more aggressive and passionate. I loved it. I am definitely wanting to see more of these two getting hot and heavy. And Sue W. says, young, hot, and sexually starved. Man, Sally and Adam together are bound to bring the heat. And I suddenly like Sally Spectra. But gosh, I wish she'd up her look above an 80s music video vixen. Yeah, there's so much potential for Sally and Adam. I wish that I wish it would have hooked me. I'm not, it really is, it's like the Adam and Sally thing happened exactly at the point where I realized, like, I don't know if I like Sally. I rooted for her, like, the whole time up until 2 weeks ago. And then right then she hooks up with Adam, and I should be ecstatic about it. I'll work on it, though. I will work on it. I'm not denying that it was a hot kiss. Don't get me wrong. I thought the kiss was very hot. Do you think that it's gonna continue? Was it a one-time thing? Did no mean no? Did he cut it off and then he's not gonna pursue it anymore? Or are we just in the foreplay phase? That's the question. Oh, Ellen says, I read that Noah Newman has been recast. I am all for having the character back, but I wish that we were getting Robert Adamson. I'm not sure if this is just about Victoria's wedding or if it's more long-term. My research is shoddy. I apologize. Yeah, I saw that we were getting a new Noah too, and my research is also shoddy because I'm not sure if it's long-term or short-term, but Sherrod says maybe Noah is just returning for Summer and Kyle's wedding. Yeah, I also saw that Summer and Kyle are coming back for a little bit, so that's great news. Maybe it is Summer and Kyle having a wedding in Genoa City. That's nice. The contracts couldn't necessarily work out, but maybe they're doing a little per diem, and we're going to get a little bit of a happy ending, a proper happy ending for Kyle and Summer with a wedding, which always makes everybody happy. We all love a wedding. Why not Robert Adamson for Noah, though? Maybe he wasn't available? Yeah, I think that's a good guess that Noah would be coming for Summer and Kyle's wedding. But, I mean, I don't know. Is there anybody around that they could have been wanting to pair him with? Like, maybe they cast him to become a love interest for somebody? I'm not sure. Maybe Noah could hook up with Sally. That would really tick Nick and Phyllis off. Is that an idea? I'm not sure. So many places to go, and people to see. Leslie says, I bet Allie is deleting a lot of comments about you-know-who in the you-know-what color this week. I love that, Leslie. You know, surprisingly, a lot of the you-know-what in the who, you-know-who in the who-know-what color this week, a lot of that kind of did die down. I feel like maybe Y&R decided to get ahead of it and just give the woman a line or two so that the fans could just get over it. Okay, everybody. Y&R Chat is now over. I hope you guys had a good time and that you go to yrchat.com to leave your comments. Now, I can't forget to tell you guys, next week I'm pretty sure it's going to be an audio-only chat. I'm getting like 3 of my house windows replaced, and it's a complete teardown to the studs and putting 3 new windows in. It's going to take all day Thursday and all day Friday. I think I probably won't even be able to watch Y&R episodes until Saturday, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to pull together the full shebang for Sunday, so it's probably going to be a short audio Y&R chat for next week, but I will still deliver something, no doubt about it. Even if it's short, even if it's audio, it'll still be a little bit of a little something. Not really looking forward to that. I'm gonna need my Y&R even more than ever after having people up in my stuff, and like, you know, it's gonna be dusty, it's gonna be all kinds of dirt and grime, I'm sure, all over the place. You know, that's gonna be making me crazy. I mean, I'm gonna be going around putting coasters under everything. Where's Nate when I need him? Where's my superhero Dr. Nate when I need him? He could be throwing down rugs underneath the workers and whatnot, vacuuming up after them. Oh, wow. I'm going to have a really good time when it's all over and I'm just soaking into my show in my nice clean bed with my nice new windows, and oh boy, the energy efficiency, I can feel it already. Oh, I love you guys. I'll be thinking of you this week and looking forward to next Sunday's chat, even if it's a little one. I love ya. I'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.